What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? NWA, what are you doing up this late at night? Goodness gracious. 3:30 a.m. That's commitment. Yeah, I'm going to turn off one of the lights. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Hello, hello. I've got one concurrent viewer. NWA, I think it's you. I think it's you. I'm curious if you can hear me. Would love to know if this is working. So, it's just me? Is it just me? What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing okay. I know there's just a couple of us on right now. But I got to tell you, it's been a while since I've done any streaming. And I thought it would be kind of fun to do something. Najee Danglis, are you kidding me? Hi, how are you? So I'm assuming you can hear me. And let me know if the audio is okay. That's the thing about getting set up with this. Sometimes it's a little touchy. And NWA's here. Welcome, my friend. How are things in Iran? Najee said right. Right. I'm assuming you mean you can hear me okay, hopefully. Yeah, it's crazy. Audio's fine. Thank you. Glad to know that. Sometimes there's been issues where either you can't hear me or the audio is there's like a whining or a hiss. Right now my laptop is humming away. It sounds like a rocket ship about to take off, but hopefully everything's good on your ends. So yeah, NWA says audio is fine as well. So I'm glad I've got, two folks on the stream tonight. Usually I do these on Sunday, Najee. You're not, I think this might be the first time you've joined. Maybe not. Maybe it's just the first time you said hi, but usually I do these like on a Sunday afternoon around 3 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And often there are a lot of people like NWA here in the chat. He's based in Iran, I want to say, not Iraq, Iran. So he's it's your first time. Cool. So I've got a lot of folks that'll show up from Europe, from Asia, the Middle East. Not so many, some Americans as well, but we're not going to have so many of our Europe and Asia friends, I don't think this time, because it's about 3 o'clock in the morning where they are right now. I guess the other thing I'm curious about is the picture, is my big fat face in focus? Because I had to manually focus this, and I'm just wondering if it looks okay. But yeah. Najee, do you do a lot of live streams? Do you jump on live streams very often on YouTube, or is this something new for you? And NWA, talk to me. How are you doing? What are you up to? I haven't seen you around for a while. I'm just curious how everything's going for you. Might be a little off focus. Okay, let's see if we can get this dialed in. Oh. Bear with me, folks. I don't know. Is that any better? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's better or not, but but let me tell you, I can guarantee you're not missing much. I probably look better out of focus than I do in focus. Thanks, that's better. So where's Dave tonight, Najee? So for NWA, Najee is a friend of mine. My buddy Dave is married to Najee, and I've known Dave for many years. And so it's fun to see my buddy's wife jump on the live stream. Lydia usually jumps on the live stream, Najee, but it's such a nice evening outside, she opted to go work in the garden. And I told her I can't blame her. She's got to get outside when the weather's good. So you know what? This isn't Najee. This is Dave. This is my buddy. He's using his wife's Chromebook. Dave, you got me. That's great. I was wondering, why would Najee even bother? So it's great that you jumped on. That's so funny. NWA, you're working hard. What do you do, buddy? What kinds of work do you do in Iran. And how are things going with the whole virus? I know Iran got hit pretty hard. You seem to be doing okay with it all, but how are things going, and what is it that you do? And by the way, Dave, thanks for joining the live stream. That's too funny. You should have identified yourself. You were trying to wait and see what I would say to your wife behind your back. I think that's what you were doing. You were just letting me play out a little line there before I made a commitment. Yeah, the whole live stream thing, Dave, it's interesting. Like when you're sitting on YouTube and it's like, okay, I've got to come up with some content. I've got an idea for a video, but a video, it's like a whole production. You've got to like map it out, come up with your idea, outline it, go through the whole thing. And then you've got to record it. Then you've got to edit it, polish it. There's a lot of work. And I like doing it, but I've been so busy that there's something about live streaming, just jumping in front of the camera and chatting with a bunch of people. It's kind of cool. Now, tonight, there probably won't be very many people that jump on because usually, as I was saying before, I get a lot of folks from Europe that'll jump in, a lot of folks from Asia. In this instance, it's just too late on that side of the world. So like NWA Saba is based in Iran. It looks like he is in the Iran government. Oh, he said the Iran government is a big liar organization. Dude, I want to get you in trouble. I hope you have a secure line, NWA, as you're saying stuff like that. So a lot of people are not busy right now, so unfortunate. Well, that's it. The funny thing is, so I did that Cybertruck video on my channel a while back, and it blew up. I got like over 11,000 subscribers over a handful of months. And now every time I do a live stream video, I lose subscribers. It's like every time I put something out, I lose people. But I like doing the live stream, especially on the Sundays. There's like a crowd of people that kind of jump in. There's some regulars. Those people have connected with me even on LinkedIn and that type of thing. And you get some good conversations. Just nice to see some of the folks show up. Let's take a look here. So what do we got? So NWA says... government statistics are purposefully low. I'm not surprised, and I agree with Dave, aka Najee, that I wonder about China. It was amazing to me that China hit like 82,000 cases, then slowly got to 83, but that's it. Somehow China, a land of billions of people and dense populations, only had 82,000, 83,000 cases. And they're able just to get total control over. I just find that highly suspicious, as does the rest of the world. So yeah, I feel for you. But yeah, NWA, what do you do? Like, what kind of work do you do? I'd be curious. And you don't have to say anything. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but so hit me with some questions. I see we've got some other people lurking. If you are out there, I'm begging you, please identify yourself. You don't have to give us your real name, rank, or serial number, but I'd love to know who's out there. It'd just be fun to say, hey. But if you're out there watching and listening, I appreciate you guys jumping into the live stream. We're going to talk about whatever we feel like, because that's what this is all about. It's a chance for us just to get together. Maybe we need to do like a giant Zoom meeting one of these days. Instead of doing a YouTube live stream, I should publish some type of Zoom meeting link, and we can get about 50 people on a Zoom call or 100 people on a Zoom call. That would be kind of funny. So Dave Danglis, a.k.a. Najee, says, Cuomo starts letting some of us out maybe on May 15th. What do I think? Here's what I think. I think Cuomo's a dictator, and I also think that Cuomo only cares about New York City. Here's the thing. Monroe County, the county that we live in, I live in Monroe County. Dave, you're in another county. I will not expose your location for fear of government retribution upon you. But here's the thing. In my county, and I haven't checked in a handful of days, but we had just about 1,000 cases, and we had about 70. We're probably up to about 100 deaths, I'm guessing. We've had hardly anything in this county. And the problem that I find is Governor Cuomo is acting like the whole state of New York is under this emergency, that we're just being destroyed. And the fact of the matter is that it's New York City. And even New York City has gotten it under control. So what I find frustrating about this governor and the way he approaches things, he could very easily go county by county. He could say, look, we're a great state. We're a big state. We can do this. Let's get some of our counties that are healthy back to work. Let's let people start to make furtive steps out and start to connect a little bit. Let's be cautious, let's be smart, but let's get things going again. And then let's be slow in some of these areas that are still hotspots, like Brooklyn and in downtown, Manhattan, et cetera. Okay, great. That would be the wise thing to do. And what you would do if you did that is you'd give your state hope. You'd say, look, here's a plan, and some counties are starting to move out. Other counties are going to follow. We're going to have this phased approach. But no, the day that the federal government wants to come out and say, hey, we've got this 3-phased approach, Cuomo comes out a few hours before and just unilaterally says, in the middle of April, we're going to go another month. There's no plan. There's no end in sight. We're just going to go to the middle of May. So I find Cuomo's early handling of this decent. I think everybody overreacted, but how could you know otherwise? What else are you supposed to do? Hey, Junaid, thanks for visiting, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here, Junaid. Thanks for joining. Props to Washington, D.C. How are things going? So my buddy here is asking me about Governor Cuomo and my feeling. Yvonne, hi, Mike from Peru. As you're saying, I got here by the Cybertruck video, but then I saw your B2B marketing video. That helped me get ideas for my thesis I'm doing. Great video also. Well, thank you, Yvonne. I'm so glad you're here with us. Thank you for joining. Glad I could help. Things are good here so far. Glad to hear it. So we're talking about Governor Cuomo and his approach to New York State. And the problem that I'm having, and it's not that he's a Democrat and I'm a Republican. Look, in situations like this, you want to rally around your leadership. You want to rally around your government. But I feel like he needs to be held accountable. He is governing the state of New York, which is many millions, like 22 million people, as if it is only New York City. And only New York City is really having a big issue. The rest of the state is not having half the issue that New York City. And so I feel like Cuomo's mishandling this. He's treating us all like New York is the only city that matters. If New York's going to suffer, we're all going to suffer. It's like, when you're in gym class or maybe you're in class and some kid did something stupid. They made a wise comment behind the teacher's back. They made a joke or a noise. And then the teacher turns around and they punish the whole class. This one knucklehead does something stupid, and now everyone has to suffer. Now, New York City didn't do anything stupid, but the fact of the matter is New York City gets all the attention. They get all the glory. They get all the everything, and the rest of us struggle. And I just think that that's bad leadership. I really do. So especially when all the numbers are coming out that hey, first of all, a quarter of our deaths are attributed to old age homes and very elderly people. And then on top of that, at least a quarter, if not half the population is testing positive that they've already been exposed to the virus. This is ridiculous. We're going to sit for another 2 weeks just twiddling our thumbs. It's asinine. So anyway, you got me going. But that's my feeling, Najee, about Governor Cuomo. NWA Saba, you're a game developer? I think that's the coolest thing. That's very cool. And I'm glad to hear that you're working around the clock, that you work on 3D games. That's awesome. I'd love to know more about the game development industry or fraternity in Iran. That's amazing. And I'm assuming maybe you work for a company in your country, or do you freelance or work remotely for a company in another country in America or Europe or something like that? Be curious to know. And Yvonne, thanks for letting me know, by the way. Yeah, I've got to figure out this whole Cybertruck / marketing / entrepreneurship thing. I did the Cybertruck video. That blew up. I'm so grateful for all the people that found me that way. But I find I'm a little stuck because I've got this consulting agency. I do a lot of strategy work and branding work and marketing work. And so I want to do content around that kind of. I don't only want to do electric vehicle and auto stuff, although I find that fascinating. I almost did a video on BMW's new design and brand changes over the last 6 months. I've got some opinions on the design and the grille. I initially hated it, quite frankly. And the more I looked into it, the more I understood that BMW actually was doing something interesting. I don't like where they are right now, but I think they're going to get to a very interesting place with some of these design changes. But I never made that video, the best intentions. And but I struggle with the kinds of content that I should be putting on this channel. There's content that I care about, that I find interesting. Then there's content that would help my consulting practice. Then there's content that I think the existing audience would love, more car stuff, more brand and strategy around the automobile industry and specifically electric vehicles. And yeah, I'm just not sure where to go. And so I kind of sit stuck. And on top of that, I'm busy. I'm very busy with work. So then you gotta, where are you going to put your time? But anyway, that's that. Let me look at some comments here. Um, so yeah, Junaid says, yeah, that city is huge and so condensed. 22 million is almost a population of a country. Yeah, and I want to say that New York City proper is 11 million, 8 to 11 million, and I think the state, New York State, is 22 million. I'm not sure. Someone might want to look that up, but NW says that he thinks the USA did a fantastic job with COVID. NW, do you think that was Trump? Was that Uncle Trumpy, or is that just the country in general? I'm be curious what you think of Trump. I know that Trump has been hard on your country and other countries too with sanctions, and that the economies have struggled under Trump. You know, you had the Obama administration that was much more favorable to Iran and willing to allow Iran to pursue its interests, regardless of the implications for, say, Israel, America, et cetera, Europe. But I know that Trump has taken a completely 180-degree opposite tack on that. And I know that's been hard for Iran. So I'm curious, and I don't want you to say anything that puts you in a bad place. So, buddy, don't say anything that's not good for you, because I just want you to be good. I'm glad you're here, and I count you a friend. As I do all 9 people on the live stream. We're killing it tonight. 9 people, folks. This is a special moment. I'm glad we're together. Let's see. Yvonne says maybe tech videos like with the new iPhone SE do more like a business view opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I've thought about, should I just be keeping an eye on new things, business things, brand things, product things, and just giving my take on it? Kind of like I did with the Cybertruck video. You know, I just took a look and gave my take. Not every video that I do is going to be that even remotely popular, although I think I've got some of the audio and some of that a little bit more refined. But yeah, I think that is an approach. Then I've got to be tracking the news. I've got to make sure to get the video together and get it out in a timely fashion. So it's a bit of a commitment, but I've thought about that, and I thought that might be a really nice way to grow the channel. Junaid says, I think you got to go deep into what you love. See, I agree with that, but then I don't know what this channel becomes, Junaid, because then it's like, well, is this me talking about metaphysics, theology, economics, wealth creation, and Burkean conservatism, maybe throw a little Gnosticism, not because I'm a Gnostic, but because I've studied some of these things. Like, do I just share the things that I'm studying because I'm passionate in the moment about them? I've thought about that. And there's got to be a way to do this. And quite frankly, I love the work I do. I love the consulting work, but I'm torn. At times, I wish I could just create content. But I think everybody feels that way. I wish I could just do the thing that makes me happy. I really am happy with the consulting work, and I get a lot of pleasure out of it. I create some real nice value for other people and for myself and my family. But yeah, it's challenging. By the way, some good news. I hired a full-time employee. I have an employee now in my consulting firm, and that is my eldest son. So he's probably a little sheepish, like, oh, I got to work for my dad. He's got a degree in economics. He's got some background with analytics and data science, and he's been a fantastic addition. He's been working with me all this month of April, and I've just been loving it. It's just it's a real blessing to work together, and he's been a huge help, work-wise. So that's been kind of nice, and it's been nice to be able to do that during this economic crisis. Nothing's guaranteed, so take it one week at a time. But I'm grateful for that. Let's see here. So, Danny Vega, welcome to the live stream, my friend. Danny, I don't know if I'm not sure if you've been on the stream before. If you have, maybe I don't remember. But Danny Vega says, L Yang is 100% correct. The machines own us. Elon Musk knows. Equation I've drawn, N1 plus 4 freedom, WS 5G is a new human race. AI plus humanity become one. WS equals we survive plus or star website. Then he throws out his website, Daniel Hall for Freedom. Yeah, I think you've been on here before, Daniel. Now that I remember it, Daniel's pimping his concept for the freedom of mankind. We'll let that slide, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure about that whole 5G thing, but let's not go there. Najee, New York State. 19.45 million. Not bad. And in New York City, 8.4 million. Not bad from just off the top of my head. I was what's a couple million between friends, really, after all? And you know what? I was probably right. It probably was 22 million and 11 million, but like a few million have left the state because of the high taxes and terrible, terrible dictatorial government that is Andrew Cuomo. Let me tell you a little something about Andrew Cuomo's, and this isn't to pick on him, but check this out. This is really interesting. So in New York State, a lot of people, especially in New York City, but all throughout the state, a lot of people in nursing homes have been contracting and dying of COVID-19. They've been dying of it. And what happened was there was all this backlash, like the media suddenly turned on nursing homes, long-term care facilities, hospitals, not hospitals, but long-term care facilities and nursing homes, and started attacking them, saying that they're not doing a good enough job caring for COVID-19. How could all these people be dying in your facilities? Well, funny thing that no one seemed to know, and the nursing homes were trying to say, look, why won't anybody listen to us? The governor's director of health, I forget the guy's name, but the governor's director, the governor's administration, top-level brass, dictated to all the nursing homes in New York State saying, you may not turn someone away that has COVID-19. So if someone has COVID-19 and they apply to come live in your nursing home, or a hospital says, we want to put this COVID patient in your nursing home, the nursing homes could not say no. They had to accept this person. Now, all of us know that the COVID-19 people are the COVID-19 attacks and successfully kills elderly people and people with comorbidities. When you're in a nursing home, you're not only elderly, you're often elderly with a compromised immune system. You're not that mobile. I mean, you're really struggling. You need full-time nursing care, and you're old. You're in your 80s and 90s. And so the New York State government, Governor Cuomo and his team insisted that all these nursing homes throughout the state take in these patients. Well, of course, we know how easily this virus spreads. And so what happened is all these nursing homes started having people getting it and dying. And the news media and the public started attacking the nursing homes. Well, then it came out in a public there was some public discussion, and someone brought it up that, hey, hasn't your administration demanded that nursing homes take these people in, and now nursing homes are getting attacked? And the governor's like, oh, I didn't know anything about that. Then he turns to his guy and he says, well, is this true? And the guy's like, yeah, that's true. So now the governor's pretending like he knows nothing. And maybe he doesn't. So let's say one of two ways. Let's say the governor doesn't know. How can he not be responsible for what his senior officials do in this whole situation? He's got to be responsible for that. He's the big cheese, and he lets you know he's in charge. The other side is he's lying, and he's covering his rear end, because if it comes out that he pushed COVID patients into nursing homes and caused huge amount of death, well, then that's going to be on him, and politically that won't fly. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that little bit of inside ball for you guys. Let me jump down a little bit. NWA, I'm an indie dev, got a small office, self-employed. NWA, man, I love that. You are one of the heroes, my friend. You are making it happen. Indie dev, working 12 hours a day in Iran, in a country that's had some sanctions and other issues, and you're building games. God bless you, bro. Seriously. I just love it. Air Terra Inc., Rob Lavoie. Hello, Air Terra, Rob Lavoie. I'll just call you Rob. Rob, good to see you. Thanks for joining us, my friend. Have a look at biochar as a carbon drawdown technology. There aren't many of them. Now this is the kind of thing I'm looking around like, where do I have something to write with? Hold on a second, I got to write this down. Oh, you know what I could do? Just take a screen cap. I don't know if that did. Oh. Okay, I'm just grabbing something to write with here. So we're looking at what? Biochar? Biochar. All right, I've made a note. I'll be an expert in no time. You watch. Thank you. Najee, cool. Congrats, Josh. Yeah, I'm really happy. He's just doing a fantastic job. And Dave, when you and I get a burger sometime or some good Indian food over lunch, when they allow us to be friends again, we'll have to catch up a little bit. Uncle DT is doing great. Thank you, NWA. Fantastic to hear that. Yeah, Uncle Trumpy, he's something else. Junaid, here's what I found. There's YouTube channels talking about Ants with over 2.5 million subs. So I'm talking about fixing pianos with 5,000 views compared to other videos in a channel that has low views. Yeah, and Junaid, your point is a great point. It's like you have to go with what you love, and that's what you said a moment ago. You got to go with what you love. The only problem for me, and it's not really a problem, but the thing like in my head, and because I do this for clients all the time, I'm always helping clients say, okay, who's your target market? What's our brand? What's our messaging? How do we reach the market? How do we communicate with them? How do we create value for them, et cetera? And so I get myself kind of stuck in this mindset of I have to do the same thing with myself. That's one. The second thing that I struggle with is my consulting practice is built on me. It's Mike Gastin Limited. It's the company's Mike Gastin. And actually, my son and I, Josh, were talking about maybe it's, if we're going to grow this thing into a multi-person firm, we probably want to rebrand it, name it something else. So it's not just me. But until then, I kind of feel with my videos that I have to have videos that align well with my consulting work. Now, I think I can make arguments that if I'm fascinated by Gnosticism and I treat it in a way that's smart and insightful, that's still on brand because some people might just say, hey, I just like the way this guy thinks. I want to help bring him in to do strategy. But I think a lot of people look at that and go, I don't understand what's in it for me. I don't get why this guy's talking about Gnosticism and in the next breath talking about BMW's branding, and in the next breath, doing a live stream and chatting about Uncle Trump and Andrew Cuomo. So you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think I've got to just make some decisions with that. Danny Vega, I like how that read off. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe the way I read off your quote there, but you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Najee Danglas, a.k.a. my good friend Dave, who's using, for those of you that just joined, his wife's Chromebook. Brother-in-law's mom died in a nursing home this week. Oh, see, now I'm joking, and you got to drop this on me. Brother-in-law's mom died in a nursing home this week. She had COVID, but also a UTI, upper urinary tract infection, 89 years old. See, really sad. Now, Dave, did she contract COVID in the nursing home, or did she get it somewhere else and then landed in a nursing home with COVID? And by the way, condolences. I'm sorry to hear that. Brother-in-law. So would this be on Najee's side of the family, or maybe one of your siblings? I'm not sure, but she died in a nursing home this week, 89. Danny Vega, you speak well. Thank you, Danny. My father used to tell me, God rest his soul, that I have a face for radio. So knowing that, I thought I'd better at least speak well. If I have a face for radio, I better at least sound good. So that's that. Let's see here. Junaid, it's great that Elon is finding a way to cure brain diseases. What we're completely skipping is that the cure is in the food that we eat. No, but I'll tell you what, Junaid, my wife will go on. She's right now in the back on Gastin Manor. In Gastin Manor, we have a 5-acre property here, working in the organic garden. She's got a whole multiple tables of seed trays going with heirloom and organic seeds, and then she's going to be, all seeds are organic, I guess. They're not genetically modified, I should say that much. And then she's out in the garden right now while the sun's going down, trying to get everything ready. She just does a phenomenal job with that. We're really big. You can tell I'm big on food just because I like to eat, but she's really smart about what's good for you and what's not. And then when she's not looking, I eat some garbage, as you can tell just by looking at me. Danny Vega, I'm originally from Throgs Neck, Bronx, New York. Yeah, that's old school, bro. Retired now here in Lake Como, naturally, Florida. Good for you. You escaped Prison Island. You got out of New York, and now you're in a low-tax state. Good for you. Kevin Casey, hello. Well, Kevin, welcome to the live stream. So glad you're here, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Would love to know a little bit more, so don't be shy. Make sure to comment in the stream here. NWA, God bless you too, man. Thanks, brother. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you're here on the stream, and you're a regular. You comment on the videos. You're so encouraging, and it's really great. You're what makes you and people like you are what make this channel for me and this community so cool. So thank you. Najee, yes, she did. She's been in for years. Wife, sister's, husband's mother. Wife's sister's mother's husband. Hey, husband's mother. Dave, I'm really sorry. And she got COVID in the home. Not sure that's what took her, though, of course. Yeah, it gets complicated. I mean, 89 years old, UTI. Any little thing can push you over the edge. I mean, it could have been pneumonia, cold. anything. But this kind of illustrates the story that these are the most vulnerable people. I mean, people like your brother-in-law's mother. These are the folks that are the most vulnerable, and the state government was dictating to these homes that they had to take people that were infected in. It's like, why couldn't we find a different way to care for the infected people and protect the elderly population as best we could? So, yeah. Tim Chidayuski. Okay, now, Tim, I got to figure out how to say your name. I'm going to have to phonetically. It's Tim Chidasiku? I don't know if I'm saying it right, Tim. Forgive me. You're welcome to call me any name you want because I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but thank you for joining us. And he's saying, woot, my second favorite YouTuber. Tim, I got to know. Oh, second to future Mike Gastin. Get out of here. You're making me shy. That's great, buddy. Nah, tell me lies. Tell me sweet little lies. That's great. Thanks, man. Welcome. I'm glad you're here, Tim. Junaid, oh yes, that's amazing. We've been wanting to start up a garden as well. Yeah, Lydia's nuts. She's doing no-till gardening, meaning she doesn't rototill. She doesn't dig up the ground. She does different things, like she puts down a winter wheat ground cover to help. The roots help over the wintertime kind of break up the soil, keep it nice and loose, but she doesn't do any tilling to keep the nutrients in. And I guess when you till, you're like upsetting the whole ecosystem, but also the ground starts to compact because you're decomposing, you're breaking it down into little, almost like sand, over time it starts to get more and more compact. So she does a no-till garden, which is kind of cool, etc. Kevin Casey, hey people, I'm looking for business partners for my nanotechnology oil startup. Also, software as a service for jewelry. Now, Kevin, are you going to come in here and pimp your businesses on my live stream? Now, would I ever just walk into your house and start selling my wares? Maybe I would, actually. Anyway, I don't know. Is anybody looking to hook up with Kevin and get into a nanotechnology oil startup? What is a nanotechnology oils startup? I mean, what's nanotechnology in these oils? And what am I doing with these oils? Am I consuming them? Am I rubbing them on my person? Are these oils that go into my automobile? Like or is this CBD? Is this like I can get the wholesome goodness of marijuana in oil, but also with nanotechnology? I got to hear more, Kevin. I got to hear more, my friend. Let's see what we got here. Meme 5, welcome. And LOL to you too, my friend. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Junaid says, thanks for sharing that info on no-till gardening. Yeah, you should check it out. It's actually pretty cool. Now, Lydia's got a channel. I'll just tell you right now, I'm going to pimp my wife's channel. She started a channel a while ago, and she hasn't done a lot with it, but she's going to be doing more. And the YouTube channel, is called Trowel and Table. Trowel, as in a gardening trowel, Trowel, and table. And if you search for Trowel and Table, if you look at the very first video on that channel, she talks about root-bound plants. I helped her do that video about a year or so ago, and it came out so good. And she's been just playing around with it, but she's kind of gearing up to do some a lot of content with that. And you might want to check it out and subscribe. I think she's got like 11 subscribers. It'd be kind of fun for her to pick up some new folks. So check out my wife's channel, Trowel and Table. This video brought to you by Mike's wife. Anyway, Alexandru Vlad. Great appreciation, Tim. Alexandersku. I don't know if I'm saying your, but I'll just call you Alex. Alex the Great. Welcome to the live stream. Rob Lavoie, just saying, use biochar in your gardens technology with 2,000-year history. Biochar. I'm guessing you burn stuff. It's like, is this charcoal? Are we talking about some type of charcoal? I'll have to check that out. Junaid says, yeah, because one thing my wife mentioned that we'll need to till the ground. I'll check out Trowel and Table. Yeah, do it, man. But just do a Google search on no-till gardening. I mean, it's really impressive, and it's easy. Like, you don't have to do all kinds of weeding. She does some things like she'll put cardboard down to knock the weeds back. She'll put some, she'll use things like certain kinds of, what do you call it, that bark mulch, that type of thing, mulch down to knock the weeds back. But it's great, no-till. So, guys, what's going on? What are your thoughts on on what's going on in the world right now. Anybody here on this stream lose their job? I've got some really good friends, folks through this that have lost their jobs. I've got a buddy that like almost week one, I mean like early April, buddy of mine from high school lost his job right away. And then Lasagna Garden, Meme 5, Lasagna Garden. Talk to me. What do you mean by that? Layers? Are we talking about layers like lasagna? Is that a metaphor? Or are we growing lasagnas? Because I like me a good lasagna. Yeah, and I've had some other people, as this thing has progressed, lose their jobs. I have a buddy in another country got in touch. He'd been laid off for a while, but now his company's kind of cycled back around and decide they really need to start cutting. So it's been tough. I'm just curious if everybody's doing okay and if they're all working, if you guys are healthy, all that stuff. So Danny Vega, sharing your talk here on my Facebook timeline. Thank you, Danny. Bring in those sweet, sweet Facebook followers. What are those friends for if they can't participate in the live stream? We need the crew. All right, Junaid, thanks for hanging out, buddy. God bless you, man. Love you, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, peace. So guys, so meme 5, leaves, grass clippings with layers of dirt in between. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. You got it. Lasagna gardening. I'm going to have to mention that to my wife a little later. She usually jumps into these streams, but she's busy in the garden right now. Kevin Casey, nanotechnology-based lubricant products. I thought it might be that. It's a huge market, up to $150 billion. Yeah, I actually have a client in... I'll say the car care, they don't get into lubricants, but they're in chemical formulating and then the car care line. They make car care products, among other things. They don't do lubricants though, but that's an interesting space to me. It's amazing how much money is in auto. I don't know if you guys have been to SEMA or you've heard of SEMA, S-E-M-A. It's a huge, huge car show in Las Vegas. I went a couple years ago. I might be going again this year, depending on what's going on with the economy, but car market, lubricants, automobiles, mechanization, transportation, just crazy, massive. Tim C says, I've been fortunate enough to keep my job. Felt kind of bad keeping stimulus money, to be honest. Do you think Florida is opening up too soon? Okay, so that's interesting. First of all, Tim, congratulations. And secondly, let me just say something about that stimulus money. Now, I in principle, I get a little nervous when the government starts writing multi-trillion-dollar checks. Like I'm thinking like, how are we going to pay for this? So on one level, I'm with you. I felt like, don't send me this money. Like, don't spend this money, but help people that need help, because I've been able to keep my work so far. That said, I have to remind myself, and I think you should remind yourself too, it's our money. We gave it to them in the first place. Now, the problem is, it'd be fine if we're just getting our money back. It's like if we gave them money and they're saying, we're going to give you your money back and then we'll just call it even, that would be fine. The problem is they take our money, then they're going to give us our money back, but then they're going to spend way, way, way more money than they could ever take, and they're going to take more of our money and keep it. So I don't feel bad about getting it, because I feel like, why pay it into the system? And I have for many years, as you can tell by my gray beard. But I am concerned about the future. Like, what are we left with? How do we pay all this back? What are we leaving our children and future generations? So it's kind of crazy on that. Now, as far as do I think Florida is opening up too soon? I absolutely do not. As the data is coming back. And this is the difference. The news media, the kind of the political arguments, they're not based on fact, okay? So the news is still driving a fear narrative. It's terrifying. We've got to be so careful. Oh my God. But the data is showing, the real data, the testing, the antibodies, all this kind of stuff is showing that instead of a 1 to 3% mortality rate, this has a 0.1 or 0.01%. Like it's much more similar to a tough flu season than it is this killer virus that was going to wipe us all out. And a lot of the projections and models that they did, especially the one that came out of the UK that everyone was initially looking at, where it said America's going to have 2.2 million dead, was the assumption on that model was that when COVID starts to spread, that all of us don't change any of our behaviors. We don't do anything differently. Now, even without government regulation, people are going to change their behavior. Every organism, even a single cell amoeba, reacts to its environment. A single cell amoeba with no brain reacts to its environment, the stimuli in its environment, as do human beings. So if there's this thing going around and we're all scared about getting sick, we start thinking about doorknobs, we start washing our hands more, we don't go into a crowded elevator. The model was based on people not changing any behavior whatsoever. And clearly people change their behavior. So I think it's not dangerous at all. I think the models were overwrought and unreasonable. They were sensationalistic and they got it wrong. I think now that we're getting more real data in, we're seeing that this thing has actually spread throughout the country more than we realized. We thought that the social distancing and the flattening in the curve has slowed it down, but it may well be that it's been working through the country more than we realize and has kind of already done a lot of its thing. It's not to say that it's gone. And then lastly, that the fatality rate is much lower than we thought. Once we start realizing that so much more of the population's already had the disease, the virus, or has been exposed to it, then we start to realize like the numbers, the actual numbers are sad, but the percentage number is much lower. So no, I think that Florida needs to, I think Georgia, Texas, New York, I think all these states need to start reopening. But here's the caveat. You don't have to open a whole state at once. Like New York State, I was saying earlier, you could go county by county and say some of our counties have actually been good and some not so good. So why don't you do it in a more methodical, intelligent, staged, phased way and slowly get this economy going again? Because here's the false dichotomy. Here's the thing that no one wants to talk about or that people are just assuming. The false dichotomy here is that we have to choose between our physical health and making money. And the fact of the matter is human flourishing, human well-being needs both physical health and economic health because our economic health is tied directly to our physical health, our psychological well-being, our emotional state, our physical ability to care for ourselves, to get medical attention. That's all tied to the economy. Like we all need work, not just for money, but to be healthy. That's just the way it works. That 12.5 million children under the age of 15 a year, 12.5 million under the age of 15 a year die from poverty-related issues across the globe. So this dichotomy of you're greedy, you want to make money, or you want to be safe and keep everybody alive, it's just a false dichotomy. You can't separate physical well-being and economic activity. They are intimately linked because we're humans, and there's no black and white. Like, we're complicated, and our work helps us be healthy. It gives us what we need to take care of ourselves. It gives us purpose and focus, and money is important. So that's the thing. So I don't think Florida's too early. I think the case is how smart, how measured, how intelligent can they be about reopening. It's more for me about how does someone reopen versus should they. I think we should all be working towards reopening right now. For me, the question is, how do we go about that? And I think that's going to be different state by state, county by county. The problem we have is you've got half the country just saying they want to stay home and the other half saying they want to get full on. And somewhere in between is the wise way to go. Hey, Omar Carcatoli, what's going on, my friend? Omar, I love seeing you here. And I still am not saying your name right. I know I'm not. Omar K, welcome. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for showing up. Najee, Dave, the news. Good Lord. Last week's Trump thing, disinfectants, bleach, UV light. What a joke. Yeah, that's true, but I will. Here's the thing. He scored an own goal. I mean, they're out to kill him. The guys are out to destroy him. But he's got to learn to shut his fat mouth sometimes. I love the guy in some ways, but man, it would really help if he just shut up sometimes. He's out there saying, oh, I was being sarcastic. He wasn't being sarcastic. He just said a dumb thing. And that happens. He's a human being. But he can't admit that. In the media, oh my gosh, the guy could cure cancer and they'd kill him for it. I mean, we all know that. So there's no surprise there. But yeah, that news is something else. Kevin Casey says, invest in gold, the most secure investment. Something tells me Kevin's a hustler. He's always doing deals. Invest in gold. Omar, hey, glad to see you again. Yeah, I just read that. Sorry, I'm a little off here. Very balanced perspective. Thanks. Hey, thank you, Tim, and thanks for asking. I wish I could just be in charge of the world for 10 years. Just 10. I'm so reasonable. Just a 10-year dictatorship. It would be benign. I would be a benign dictator. I would do what was good for the world. I think we could get it running just like 10 years. It might take 20, but I think 10, but 20 at the most, maybe 30. I give it back when things are good, I promise. I'd be one of those nice dictators. Oh my gosh. It's so frustrating, isn't it? Politics can be so frustrating. I wish we had a good king. That's all I'll say. Najee, yeah, he blew it with trying to call it sarcasm. I agree. 10 years and then a bullet to the head. Well, for me, I think when you're the dictator, you don't, well, eventually it catches up to you, but a benign dictatorship, I think I'd be great. Here's the thing. I joke about that, and sometimes I wish, but I could not stand before God with all the blood on my hands. Do you know what you have to do to keep power as a dictator? It's just unconscionable what these people do to other human beings. So we won't even go there. This is a benevolent despot. I agree, Tim. That's what I'm talking about. Benevolent despot. Now, God help you if you don't agree with me. I mean, I have to keep power and I have to do what's right for the people, which would mean destroying anyone that doesn't agree with me, because that's what's good for the people. But yeah, a benign bullet to the head. That's how dictators go. So Dave, I'm just going to tell you, when you put that comment, a benign bullet to the head, that's how dictators go. YouTube asked me to moderate that. Should I show or hide it? But you know what? I did not mark this for children. It's not for children, so we'll just let that slide. And hopefully they don't yank my YouTube license, because I think that's where this is going. Oh, guys, this is too much fun. What do we got here? How long have we been going? I don't know. About 45 minutes. I'm going to keep going. I'm having a good time. Sorry. No, don't apologize. It's just fun. I let it go. But yeah, so I'm wondering, when we do get back to work, does this thing take off, or is the world stuck? And I think there are two things to keep in mind. One is, as soon as the government say it's legal, that you can go back to work, that's fine. What I'm wondering is, how will people feel? Will the fear have set in so deeply that people will avoid restaurants, will avoid movie theaters, will avoid the public? Will keep people, now they do this in Asia already, but in America, will they keep wearing, face masks? Will we become compulsive hand washers? So I'm wondering, when it's legal to start doing business, will we be comfortable doing business? Will people refuse to go into their office? The one good thing that could come out of this, one thing I used to hate, somebody gets sick and they come into work. They feel like, this is in America. I don't know about other countries, but in America, people get sick and they come to work. They come to the office like somehow they're being a hero. Look how dedicated I am. Even when I'm sick, I come here to work. That's such a good employee. And it used to bug me, because I'm like, look, I can't afford to be sick. I've got too much on my shoulders. I've got too much responsibility. I've got a pile back in my office that's up over my eyeballs. If I get sick because of you, I'm going to be pretty angry. And so these people that would come in and come to work and be sick, I'm hoping that this kind of scare helps people realize, if you're sick, stay home, stupid. Rest. That's why you're not feeling good. You need to rest. You don't need to work. And you don't need to feel bad about that. Just take a break. Please, I'm begging you. Hey, NWA's taking off. We'll see you, my friend. All the best. Thanks for joining. You stayed up way late. You get a badge for that. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you being with us. Najee, the economy will have a delayed response, like flying a wide-body airliner. Gotta hope the delay isn't too long. It's like, hey, baby, this thing's going down. We're probably going to scrape the ground, but we're going to come back up again. Don't worry, won't crash. We're going to touch the ground. Danny Vega, I love there being so few jets flying over, so peaceful and quiet. Danny, that's a good point. That kind of reminds me of post 9/11. I don't know how old a lot of you guys are, but I remember post 9/11 in America, the skies were quiet, really quiet, and it was eerie. And it was quite a thing when they started flying again. Tim says, do you think social media companies have a responsibility to fight fake news around this COVID thing? Kind of getting at, are they content publishers or just agnostic platforms? Tim, this is such an important question. And here's why. I don't know how old everybody is here, but a while back, years ago, there was this argument that websites, folks like Google, the early social media platforms, started fighting because they were getting in trouble for people publishing copyrighted material on their platforms. And so the copyright holders were coming after the Googles and the Facebooks of the world saying, you are in trouble because you're publishing my copyrighted material. And so they ran to the courts and said, oh my gosh, you've got to protect us. We can't control what happens on our platform. We need safe harbor. We need safe harbor. We can't be responsible for what's on our platforms. And the courts decided, they adjudicated that yes, that's correct. That if you own a platform, a Facebook, Google serving up search results, LinkedIn and all these platforms, that they're not responsible necessarily for the content that the users publish on those websites. Now, there's some fine line areas, things like you can have your own rules, like you can say this is a children's platform, nothing that is inappropriate for children, et cetera. Or you can say we don't want children on this platform because it's mature. You have some control, but the thing being, all these platforms argue that they can't control what's on the platform, but now they are taking it upon themselves to control the information that we get. So the Facebooks of the world and the Googles and the YouTubes are all now deciding what's true and what's not true. So I might put this video up, and if YouTube's algorithm or one of their live human beings that reviews things says, I don't like what this guy's saying, I don't like the way his fat head looks, I don't agree with him when he says that Florida should open, I think he's hurting society and he's damaging mankind by sharing his honest opinions about something. And they'll yank the video, they'll demonetize it, they'll yank it and delete it off the platform. I can get kicked off the platform. So my argument is, you can't have it both ways. You can't claim safe harbor and say, I'm not responsible for anything that shows up on my platform because I can't control it. And then in the same breath, turn around and control other people's content on the platform. So I feel the courts have to hold them responsible. They have to make a decision. Which is it? Are they going to be held accountable for the content, or are they going to let people post what they want to post? I think that's the legal argument. And I don't understand why that hasn't taken place. I don't know why that isn't working through the courts, because these social media platforms have become so important to daily speech. Look at this. I mean, we're doing a live stream with a handful of people across the world right now. This is how we're communicating. This is how we keep in touch with each other. YouTube doesn't owe this to us. It's not like they owe it. But on the other hand, if they're going to claim that they can't be responsible and should not be brought into court for the content that someone puts up there, then they shouldn't be allowed to control the content. They should choose one side or the other. And so that's what I think. So do I think that they have a responsibility? No. I think they have a responsibility to allow people to express themselves and then let human creativity do what it needs to do, and let people decide for themselves. They're so worried, like, oh, someone's too stupid to know the truth. Really? People aren't smart enough to know the truth? You can't turn on CNN and see all the BS that comes through on BBC and CNN and all these major news networks. So I don't know. I'm not upset about this at all. I'm rambling. Let's look at anyone from New Jersey. I'm sure someone is, my friend. But what part of Jersey? I used to live in the Pinelands of New Jersey back when I was a teenager for a little while. Danny Vega, what do we think of Andrew Yang's idea where Amazon, Google, and the like put a slice of their ad revenue toward what becomes UBI for American citizens? Freedom dividends. Oh, man, I don't know. Danny. I just like to believe in the individual's ability I just believe in the individual's ability to take care of themselves. This whole UBI thing, universal basic income, it's got folks supporting it from every walk of life: conservatives, progressives, leftists, rightists, all those. But people are interested in it. It's an interesting concept. But here's what I don't get. If you walk into a room and nobody has any money, and then one person walks into the room with $5, that $5 is worth a lot because nobody else in the room has that $5. And the other people are like, I wish I had at least $1. Like, the value of that $5 is actually pretty nice. If you walk into a room and everybody's got $5 and you've got $5, the value of that $5 isn't so much anymore. So the whole universal basic income, I guess where I'm going with it is, let's say we give everybody $30,000 a year. Oh, you need a basic living, $30,000. And look, I get it. There are people struggling that can't get enough food to feed their children. So I'm not poo-pooing, and I'm not saying that those people should just work harder. I'm not doing that. But I'm just talking about the theory of universal basic income. It's like inflation. You put $30,000 in the pockets of everyone, and then all of a sudden you've got inflation because things start costing more. So what used to cost $10 now costs $100 because everybody's got more money and the person selling that thing can get more for it. So all of a sudden that $30,000 that everybody has kind of becomes like $0. Because when you get the $30,000, you can go out and buy a car. But now if everybody's got $30,000, you can't afford a car anymore because the price of cars go up. So there's this relative aspect to money. You know, we think of dollars like I have $1, but it's really about wealth. The dollars just represent wealth that was stored wealth. And so that's one level. So I question the whole concept there. I think you're just going to inflate the economy when you hand out money. The second problem I have is, let's say it starts out with some really wealthy billionaires like, you know, the YouTube folks, the Google folks, the Facebook folks go, we'll give a fraction. That's where it starts. Now we've got enough for everybody. You know how the government works. You know how every single government in the world works. They don't go, you know what, we'll never change that. We'll never touch it. We'll just, these 5 companies, these big companies will contribute. It will become a tax that is demanded of every company. It will become a tax that is demanded of every wealthy individual. It will become a tax that is demanded of every individual making more than $30,000 or whatever that UBI number is. So for me, it's wealth redistribution. And I'm really big as a conservative on private property. If you don't respect private property, you don't have a society. You don't have individual rights. You don't have security. Just so many things unravel without private property. I do not believe in wealth redistribution. I do believe in helping the poor. I do believe in helping people break out of cycles of poverty. I do believe in human flourishing, but I just don't think that government is the way to do it. I don't think taking your private property by force and giving it to another human being is the way that you fix that. And I think there are other mechanisms that we can leverage that are innate in human beings that allow people to dig in more creatively, allow people to do things that are more, that leverage who they are and help them create wealth on behalf for themselves and on behalf of their families. So not a big fan on the surface of it. I need to learn more to be, erudite on the topic, but not a fan. And, so that's me. Omar says, what's your thoughts about unconditional basic income? Yeah, and that's what I was just talking about, the universal basic income, unconditional basic, not big. I feel like what's the incentive? If I'm getting 30,000, what's the incentive to do anything? And I think the one thing that we fail to understand, like work is important to people. We think of like, oh, I hate my job. I wish I didn't have to work. I wish I could just get 30K, stay home and do PlayStation all day long. Of course, I don't because I'm an old guy. But, it's like we don't want to work. But the fact is, work is good for us. Like we are designed and wired to work, and it's healthy for us. Even a bad job. I'm not saying that everyone deserves a bad job, but just hanging in there and working a bad job and then breaking out and getting a better job, building competencies, gaining more income. These are things that create deep, deep fulfillment for human beings, that sense of accomplishment. So the question then becomes not so much how do we give people money and disincentivize them to work? It's how do we provide opportunities and incentives for people to work? That to me is the more interesting question that we don't talk about. Yang and the Yang gang has brought up this, and they're not the ones that own it. This has been around for a while, this universal basic income. I get that it's revolutionary. I get that it's like amazing. Now with technology, we could all have money and stay home and just do creative things. But the fact of the matter is, if you observe human nature, we need to be motivated. We have to have a purpose. And there are 2 drivers here. First of all, if you start throwing money out, basic income, 20, 30,000, you're going to give people enough that they're not going to be motivated to work. They're just going to, and then they're going to be frustrated they don't have enough money. They're never going to have enough. Here's the thing. People that make $50,000 a year feel like they need to make 100. People that make $100,000 a year are bitching because they don't make $200,000 a year. Excuse me, by the way. So human nature, you're just never satisfied. So people are going to get their 30,000 and they're going to be unfulfilled because they're not working. And the other dynamic that concerns me when you couple universal basic income with the fact that people are not having children anymore. Like the human race is just not having children anymore. And I know it's like, who am I to say? But we get deep fulfillment in having purpose. We get deep fulfillment in living for other people. We get deep fulfillment in building competency and toiling and hanging in there over the long term. And we get deep fulfillment in children. Whether you want to, and having children isn't for everybody. So I'm not telling you if you're not having kids, you're a bad person. I'm just saying you can find a lot of fulfillment through working difficult jobs and bringing children into this world and raising them. And those are like two really hard things to do. Nobody wants to hear that, but those are opportunities. Now the question is, can we create jobs? Can we create opportunities for disenfranchised people, for people struggling, for people that don't have the skills to really make enough to feed themselves? That to me is a more interesting question. I know I've gone a little long on that, but I just want to beat that up a little bit because I just feel like you're trying to solve the right problem. How do we help people lead a more fulfilling and full and purposeful life? But giving everybody money, I don't think fixes that. Now, I don't want to keep money from people, but I just don't think that that's the solution. And I don't think that we want to hear the tough answers. Danny says, I'm thinking about the disenfranchised, poor, homeless, $1,000 a month, get them off the street, right? No, I totally get you. I get you, but again, that's wealth redistribution. The question is, are there other ways that we can serve those people without just throwing money in their pockets? And quite frankly, you've got a homeless person on the street, you give them $1,000. Is that booze money? Is that drug money? Now, someone might say, well, what's it to you? Well, the problem is there's a cycle. If you feed the habit, then they stay on the streets. So I guess the question for me is like, how do we help people find purpose and fulfillment? How do we give them meaningful work? And how do we give them the tools and help them gain the competencies to care for themselves? I think people feel the best when they're caring for themselves. If you're living in your parents' basement and your mom is doing everything for you and you're 32, you don't feel good about yourself. You're frustrated. You feel like a loser. It doesn't matter what anyone says. You just don't feel good about yourself. And we've got to find ways to help people feel good about themselves. Anyway, you guys can say, okay, boomer. I'm Gen X. I'm not a boomer, but I sound like a boomer right now. I know. Trust me, bros. I've worked hard and I've done a little bleeding. Trust me. End the house arrest, says Boom Tendo. Yes, let's end the house arrest. And boom, if they won't end it, maybe we'll just end it for them. Little civil disobedience. Maybe that'll get me booted off of YouTube. But Danny Vega, I learned tons from Ron Paul 2007 on. That's when I became a libertarian. Fantastic. Yeah, I like that. H1MB, what are your thoughts on a minimum wage mate? So here are my thoughts on minimum wage. I get it. I've worked minimum wage jobs as a young guy. Let's talk about where minimum wage came from. Does anybody know, at least in America, where the concept of minimum wage came from? Does anybody know what that is? If you do the research, and it's not hard to find, minimum wage was used to keep a certain segment of the American population economically disenfranchised. Essentially, minimum wage was used to pay ethnic, low-skilled workers just enough to keep them on the breadline. So what you get with minimum wage is you detach a person's value from what they're making. There's no incentive for that person to create more value. There's no incentive for them to try to get ahead because they're just stuck at minimum wage. Now, when I was a kid, minimum wage was what you did when you were in high school. I worked at Sears department store in the paint department. I mixed paint colors and helped people decide if they wanted a semi-gloss or eggshell finish for their bathroom walls. And I made minimum wage. It was like $3.10 an hour. Minimum wage jobs were never meant for full-time adults. I believe that people should be able to make more than minimum wage. To me, minimum wage was just like a part-time job somewhere. I came from a working class family. My parents were not college educated. We lived in a very kind of low-income suburb, if you will. It was like just a low-income suburb. So I didn't come from a special family. I worked minimum wage. I mean, that's just what. I don't know what else I think about it. I think I'm rambling, so I'm going to move on, guys. I don't want to put you to sleep with this. Kevin Casey, I want to make $5 million per year. Why not, Kevin? I want to be the Queen of England, but somehow that's just not going to work out for me, I don't think. But yeah, all the best. You could make 5 million a year. Why not? You absolutely could. Here's the thing, if you can figure out a way to create the kind of value that people are willing to pay you, if you can solve problems that are meaningful, if you can improve people's lives, then you should make 5 million a year. Why not? Tim, not to ask you a question too personal, but do you have children? Why, I do, Tim. I have 3 adult children. My eldest son is 28 and works with me in my business. Is he 28 or 27? He's 27. I'm sorry. My eldest son is 27, works with me. He just joined me about a month ago in my consulting practice. He studied economics. I have another boy who's 25, and he's a mechanical engineer. And I have a daughter who's 21 now and finishing up her university degree. So I have 3 kids. 3 kids. Tim says, I'm generally interested in your thoughts around how best to drive them to have substantive ambition in a society that is pretty hedonistic and often shallow. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, we homeschooled our kids, and one of the reasons we did that is I just didn't want them educated in the system, quote unquote. I didn't want my kids just to be brought up in some big bureaucratic government-run system. I wanted them to learn to think for themselves. I wanted them to be critical thinkers, and I wanted them to love learning. Not that you can't love learning in the bigger school systems, but I found for myself that, you know, bureaucratic learning and learning, true learning and love for knowledge can be 2 different things. So we homeschooled. We've encouraged our kids to be self-sufficient as best as possible. We help them. We're not like survival of the fittest in our family. Throw them out in the wild, kill a wolf. Don't come back until you kill the wolf. And we're not like that, but we try to help them take on responsibility and grow that way. And they've done fantastic. Our kids are phenomenal. I should mention I have one son who's 25. He's married, so I have a daughter-in-law too. So we have 4 kids really. But we've done a lot through the years. We try to be purposeful. I've always been an entrepreneur, so the kids have had access to the way that I've struggled with business, the way I think about things. I try to get them involved in business young, just not because I want them to be entrepreneurs, but I just want them to think entrepreneurially no matter what they end up doing. So yeah, there's that. Dave Martinez, welcome to the stream, my friend. Dave says, what a come up. He's laughing. I'm not sure. Help me, Dave. I'm not sure what you're talking about. How's it going? It's going pretty good. I'm glad to have you here on the stream. But what do you mean by what a come up? Are you talking about like my rant and rave there? Tim says, preach regarding minimum wage. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, we could keep going on that, but the problem I have with minimum wage and basic universal income, I understand people want help. And I understand that people feel hopeless. You know, the whole boomer world where the boomers go, hey, I got a college degree. Yeah, it cost them $500 a year. They went and worked at an ice cream shop for the summer, and they got themselves a master's degree. You know, and the rest of us haven't had that. College is expensive. Jobs are scarce. You know, you get a job back in the day. You just make tons of money. You've got 2 houses. Everything's great. And it's not been like that for the Gen X generation. It's not been like that for the millennials. It's not like that for the Zoomers or whatever the next generation's called. It's harder. And so I understand the desire to try to find some economic mechanism to let you have the dream that everybody else says you should have. But at the end of the day, the thing that bothers me about it is that it robs us. When someone just gives us money, when someone just gives us an income, it robs us of our dignity, and it robs us of our ability to struggle and strive both with ourselves and the world around us in a way that's meaningful, where we come out victorious. Even if we lose and lose and lose, eventually we can win on some level and say, you know what, I've learned some things. I've wrestled the world to my will. I've overcome even my own shortcomings. And in doing that, I've learned how to feed myself. I've learned how to feed other people. Now, I get it. There are extreme cases. There are people that are so disadvantaged that they don't even have the means to work a simple job. There are people that can't read. There are people that can't do math, and they're in their 40s and 50s. I understand. But when we start to use the extremes to develop a solution for all of us, we fall short. Let's develop solutions that work for most people, and then find exceptions and other ways to help people on the fringe come up, help them get in on this great thing. Human beings are value creators. We are problem solvers. Human beings are these special creatures designed to create wealth and to create value, to solve problems and to make their environment and world a better place. And I feel like when we start to get into things like minimum wage and universal basic income, we're solving the wrong problem. We're not asking the question that how do we tap into this amazing power that each and every single human being has, that each and every single human being brings to the table. We've been kind of told this thing that human beings are a liability, that human beings are bad. We're destroying the environment. We wreck everything. More people is bad. But the fact of the matter is human beings are valuable. Each human being is it's a net creator. They add to the world. They don't take. Yes, we have to consume. We have to consume to do what we do. We have to eat. We have to build homes. We have to change our environment. I get that. But at the end, we are a net positive on this world, especially when we realize who and what we are, and especially when we let ourselves and encourage each other to tap into that strength that we have as humans. So that's that. Danny Vega, I am glad that I read the book called The Richest Man in Babylon when I was young, but I do wish I hadn't even read it when I was younger. Oh, I think you mean like you wish you read it when you were even younger. Yeah, that's what impact? I mean, what was the big takeaway when you read that book? What was the big thing that you took away from that, Danny? I'd be curious to hear. H1MB, that's quite based homeschooling your children, Mike. That's quite based. So I think H1MB is saying that I'm based. I'm right wing by homeschooling my children. H1MB, let me tell you something, my friend. Look how old I am. I was based before most based people were born. If you want to get into where I come from, I'm a Burkean. I'm talking Sir William Burke. I think it's William Burke, conservative. We're talking 1700s conservatism. I'm so based, H1MB, I'm almost a monarchist. I'm like in America, but I think I might be a monarchist. I mean, how based is that, my friend? Oh my gosh. Danny, typo there. Wish I had read it when I was younger. That's what I thought you meant, Danny. I'm just curious, like, what was your big takeaway? And H1MB, I love, you always tease me when I go, hey, it's your boy Mike, and you're like, that video sucks. And if I don't open by saying, it's your boy Mike, that was a great video. But I'd be curious to know what you think. Are you based, H1MB? Are you red-pilled, my friend? Are you a free market guy? Are you a progressive? Where are you on the political spectrum? Would love to know. Kevin Casey, my first job in the U.S. was a mechanic job. Worked 60-plus hours per week for $400. That was my motivation to mark 400 per hour. There you go. See, you did something tough. You did a hard job, and that's inspired you to do something even greater. I can tell you right now, as a consultant, you talk about $400 per hour. I don't charge $400 an hour necessarily, but as a consultant, the work I do, and I'm not like Boston Consulting Group or Bain Capital over here, Bain Consulting. I'm charging hundreds of dollars an hour for my consulting time. $200, $250, $300, $500. I'm not always doing hourly work. Sometimes I'm doing project work, but sometimes I get paid quite a few $100s just for my opinion. I'm not even having to do anything. I just have to give my opinion on something. So let me tell you, it's possible you could do way more than $400 an hour. Don't think about hourly though. What I would encourage you to do is, instead of thinking about hourly, think about the value that you can create. How much value can you create, and how can you get paid for that value? You really want to sell and price based on value. That's where the magic is. Because if you're basing it on hours, and I think you're just using $400 an hour as a way to think about how much can I make, you only have so much time to give. And so you start to run out of hours. What you want to do is, if I solve this problem, what's it worth? If I solve this problem and my client can make $1 million, if I solve the problem, then it should be reasonable to pay me $90,000 for that, $100,000. I want 10%. Maybe solving that problem takes you 2 weeks of hard work. I take $100,000 for 80 hours. Sounds like a client's happy. They're making $1 million. So, all right, I'm getting a little wound up. I haven't even had a drink. I almost poured myself a scotch before this started, but I didn't do that. Okay, let's see here. Kevin says, awesome book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Danny Vega. Pay ourselves first. Yep, excellent. Building a forever fund, also good. We keep forever, growing forever, investing wisely. Very good. Yeah, I wish I had read that when I was a teenager. That would have read it and taken it to heart. That would have been something. How are we all doing now? We've been going at this for about what? An hour and 15 minutes. Everybody hanging in there. Looks like we got about 12, 15 people on the stream. This is fun. I'm glad we kind of pulled this together. Any other questions? Anything you guys want to talk? We've covered COVID-19. We've covered how the different countries and states have been handling this. Should we be getting back to work? We've talked a little bit about homeschooling, universal basic income, and so on. H1MB asks, how would you incentivize Westerners to have children, especially women in their 20s? Why do I feel like I'm being set up? Who's recording this right now? I'll never, if I answer this question, I will never be able to run for office. Okay, how do you incentivize? I think, so that's a great question. When I hear incentivize, my mind goes to economics. And Tim says that is a setup. Don't answer. Danny Vega's I think he's got the winning answer. He says Heineken. No way. You guys are going to get me in trouble. Come on now. Don't get me in trouble. We got to show respect. You got to respect women. Let's see. Well, my wife was willing to have 3 children with me. So, and I didn't, she's not a drinker. So got lucky there. I think it has to go beyond just how do you convince a 20-year-old woman to have children. I think it's a good question because that's a short-term question. For me, the longer-term question is like, what values have changed where we as a society, and specifically maybe women, I don't know if it's solely women, where we've decided that children rather are not desirable. I think that's what we have to get at. What is it about the narrative that we have embraced as a society in the West where we agree that children really aren't that desirable, that they're a pain, that they're an inconvenience, that they're to be avoided? If you want to be happy, you should avoid having children. I just think there's a lot to mine there. If we mine that, and as a society we're willing to talk about our values and reevaluate them, I think we could maybe make some change. I mean, first of all, we've told each other that it's okay to be self-centered, that it's okay to be selfish. And then we have these people, and forgive me if I'm being too critical. We have people that are in their 20s, 30s, they get married, they live together, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't care about that. But it's all they want to do is they want to watch Netflix, they want to drink alcohol with their friends. They're like 38 years old, they're just big children. They want to play video games. All those things are fine in and of themselves, but they don't want kids because they're scared that kids will ruin it for them. And to me, it's just like that's a very immature response. You've got to be willing to give to other people in order to truly recognize and realize your full potential. There's the saying, Christ said it, lest a seed falls to the ground and dies, it cannot bear fruit. You plant a seed, it's a dead seed, a plant dies, it leaves a seed, you put the seed in the ground, and up comes another plant with lots of fruit on it. And I think that's true for human beings, that if we're not willing to die to ourselves, and this doesn't have to be a big religious discussion, but just, let's face it, when you have kids, you're dying to yourself. You're putting them first. You're saying, I have all these career desires, I have all these financial desires, I want independence, travel, fun, and I'm going to put that off to the side, and I'm going to devote my life to this little monster that creates a mess and is noisy and is self-centered. I mean, this little tyrant now. And you're giving up a lot. And now you're going to feed this kid, you're going to clothe them, educate them, love them, give them all kinds of your time, put them through college. It's expensive. There's lots of costs. But I think the problem is we don't realize how much you get in return. There's a death that has to happen when you're willing to get married, to give yourself to someone else, when you're willing to have children. There's a death that has to happen. But it's one of the most beautiful deaths because out of that comes so much more life. If you're willing to let go of your life, you get so much more life back and you get so much more satisfaction. I'm sitting here in my early 50s and I can't tell you the satisfaction that I have for having had a family. Now, I've not been a good father. Like, talk to my kids. I'm not a great dad. I've been distracted. I was a pretty angry guy. Like, I owned a business during the economic crisis of 2007, 8, and 9. I was miserable, and I'm sure I was hard to be around. I love my kids, but I'm sure I was difficult. And I've come into life with a lot of flaws, unlike the rest of you, but I have my own flaws. But all that said, it's been one of the most wonderful things, and I'm grateful for it. And I understand not everybody can have kids, and not everybody should. I get it. But I think how do you convince women to have kids? I think we have to reset our values in the society and tell people it's not good to be self-centered. And there are things more important than a career. There are things more important than just your own pleasure and short-term fun. You can't live on dopamine alone. Jesus said man cannot live on bread alone. I think if Jesus were walking the face of the earth today, he'd have to say, man cannot live on dopamine alone. There you go. I think I'm going to make a t-shirt. I think I got to make that t-shirt, don't I? Man cannot live on dopamine alone. Anyway, so that's that. That's what I'm thinking. Tim asks, stating you have a 25-year-old son who is married is legit. That is goals, man. Perpetual childhood is bad for our society. Totally. And I've got a lot of respect for my son. He's a hardworking guy, really hardworking guy, big heart, hard worker, smart. And wife is a lovely girl, lovely woman. And, in talking about being a father, like that son and I, we butted heads a lot. I wasn't always a great dad, and I hurt his feelings at times. And he was trying to do his thing. And sometimes I was in the way of that. We had to butt heads, but that's part of being a family. You've got to go through those tough times to get to somewhere better. And I'm very grateful for him. So yeah, I agree with you, Tim. For my children, that is in 23 years, haha. So Tim, I'm guessing you're pretty young. You don't have kids yet. Or do you have kids, Tim? I don't mean to put you on the spot. Danny Vega, send women in their 20s my way, many children. I'm a Westerner. Danny's volunteering to help society. See, there's a guy willing to lay his life down. He's like, look, I want to help. Send the women to me. I'll do the best I can. It's for the betterment of mankind. Danny, what a hero. What a hero. What a crowd we've got here, guys. Amazing. Kevin Casey, kids are too expensive nowadays. Yeah, they're always expensive. That's the thing about kids. It's never a good time. That's the fallacy. It's never a good time to have kids. You're never going to have enough money. You just need to jump in and do it. If you want to have kids, my advice is have them. I mean, look, if you're 17 and you're watching this live stream, slow your roll. You don't have to have kids right away. But I'm just saying, if you're an adult, you're ready, you're talking to your spouse, have some kids. You'll be fine. Much worse things could happen to you. Trust me. Danny Vegas says, children, teach how important chores are and good allowances for doing good chores. There you go. My son's 17 now. He's heading to SUNY Buffalo after high school. Now get out of here, Danny. Danny, where are you located? I'm like 50 miles from SUNY Buffalo. I'm in Rochester, New York. Look out, Danny. I'm gonna be hooking up with your kid here and getting the down low on you. Where are you located? You got to tell me. You don't have to tell me specific, but you got to tell me. And then Najee Danglis, who is really Dave Danglis, he's using, I don't know if anybody knows, but he's using his wife's Chromebook. Let's go Buffalo. Dave grew up in Buffalo, big Buffalo Bills fan. Love talking to Dave about the Bills. What a uplifting discussion every freaking season. Of course, this year, I don't know where that's going. Cheese Curdler, what's going on, Cheese? Man can't live on dope. Man can't live on dope alone. I think it's dopamine, my friend. Man can't live on dopamine alone. Danny Vega, yeah. Najee, my daughter graduated from Buff State, another SUNY school, decent education, saved a ton of money. Dave, you spelled money wrong. I'm embarrassed. I can't have you messing up my chat stream like that. Dave's a fantastic speller, by the way, and I'm dyslexic, so he always gets me on my emails and that type of thing. Holy smokes, guys. This is too much fun. I don't know how this is legal in America, but we're having a good time here. Danny's in Tampa, Florida right now. So you got a son coming up to Buffalo. Why Buff State? Why would your boy leave sunny Florida and come up to Crapchester, New York? I don't understand it. But hey, the things we do for an education. Tell him, get that degree and then get the heck out of New York. Tell him not to stay. Don't make the mistake of staying. We're all trying to figure out how to get out. All right. Tim says, Danny, check your privilege. Allowances? Check your privilege, right. My allowances allowed me to eat my food, live in my house, drive my car, etc. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I never got allowances. My parents weren't the allowance type. And then I had next door neighbors. These freaking kids got allowances just for existing. They didn't have any chores and they got paid money. I was like, how does that work? But I mowed a lot of lawns, shoveled driveways. I figured it out. I did just fine. Najee, not money, moiny. I don't get it, Dave. I just don't get it. Man can't live on dope alone. Yeah, I know. I followed you, Cheese. I knew what you were saying. I'm just saying I think the T-shirt should read dopamine alone, since this is a dopamine society. Everybody's dopamined up. Oh my gosh, guys. You're killing me. This is fun. So just as far as timing goes, you're about an hour and a half in. I'm probably going to wrap this bad boy up here in a minute, but I typically do the live stream Sundays around 1 to 3 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. I thought it's just been so long since I've done anything that I get one of these out there just to have some fun and connect. And what I really like about this is I got a totally different crowd this time than I typically do. A lot of times we get a lot of folks from Europe, Asia, et cetera, because if it's early in the afternoon, they're awake. What do you think? Do you want to do this on weeknights more often? Are you guys up for like a weekend stream? Talk to me. Let me know what you think. I'm going to drag my feet a couple seconds here in case there are more questions. If there aren't a few more questions, I'm going to wrap it up. But I got to tell you, as I'm watching here for comments, I'm really grateful. This is so much fun for me. I get from this. Like I sit in an hour and a half and yammer into this microphone looking at a camera. You'd think I'd be tired at the end. It actually exhilarates me. It injects energy. So I'm grateful for you guys being here. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for your participation, jumping in the comments. I love that we can talk about all kinds of things. I guess the only thing that's kind of a downside is like, I wish we could talk back and forth. Junaid's back. Welcome back, Junaid. It would be cool if we could talk back and forth. I am really tempted to do like a big Zoom call. Just get a ton of people on my Zoom account and just talk. Tim wants to know what's my latest perspective on Tesla. Not much I could throw out there right now, Tim, on that. Najee is, I think, discussion about the Cybertruck design is worth having. Maybe not here, but somewhere. Okay, so I've got 2 Tesla related requests. Tim says, good to have you, man. Thanks for putting your content out there. Definitely valuable. This is a nice side alternative to your regular channel content. Thank you, Tim. That helps me. You know, I do have to keep that regular content going. I haven't done a good job with that lately, but it's nice to know that this complements it well. Junaid says we do a big Zoom call in one of our groups. Like, Junaid, how many people are on that call? Like, do you have 50 people? I mean, right now we've got about 13 to 15 people, so 1-3 to 1-5, so it's not a huge group. I could see it getting up to 20 or 30 or more if I put it out there and advertise a little bit. H1MB, anytime on weekends is all good. Am in New Zealand. Oh, so cool. That's awesome. So the same time zone is a bit off. Thank you for the stream. My pleasure. Thank you, my friend. We call it Coffee Talk. Najee, rah, New Zealand. One of my favorite musicians is from there. Junaid, 8 to 15. Okay, cool. Danny Vega, he's adopted by my sis and bro-in-law. Spinal cord injury from military caught up with me. Put my son in good hands. Oh, buddy, this is terrible. I mean, I'm glad that your son's okay, but this is bad for this, tough for you. Put my son in good hands. Family environment. R&R for me here at Lake Como naturally in Florida. Good talk. Hey, Danny, thank you, and thanks for being so open. You don't have to share that kind of stuff, but I'm grateful, and I wish you the best. I wish you the best as you're going through. I hope you get a full recovery. And you know what? That boy sounds like a good boy. I think he's going to make his father proud. And that's a pleasure in life, to see your sons and daughters thrive as adults. What a blessing to see your kids do well. And it's not always easy. Raising kids is tough, and it's fraught with risk and heartache and all kinds of stuff. But if it works out, it's a real blessing. Guys, I'm going to call it a night. I got to tell you how much I love you guys. I love you. Thank you for spending time with me today. And I wish the best for everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and I will be talking to you soon. Cheers.